Aloha. My name is Makala Kozo Hattori. Welcome to Healing Dis-ease with Aloha. I'm so excited to share this material with you. This healing practice that I've been gifted with has really changed my life. But before I get into the actual material, I'd like to share with you how I was gifted what we could call this wisdom. In July of 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 2 colorectal cancer. I had a tumor that was 7 centimeters big. It was bigger than the size of a golf ball. And the doctors really wanted me to start chemo, radiation, and then eventually have surgery immediately. I think I had an appointment on Tuesday, and then they scheduled me an appointment on Thursday with an oncologist, and they wanted to start chemo on the following Monday. So I had less than a week. They really wanted me to start this treatment program, and it just didn't feel right to me. I did some research on colorectal cancer, and had an appointment with my oncologist, and I told him, Dr. Nguyen, I don't have the risk factors for colorectal cancer. It's really odd. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have a lot of stress, I don't have a family history of this type of cancer, and I don't eat like a high-fat meat diet. I was a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian. And so I told him that, and he said, some people just get unlucky. And I found that to be not very satisfying. And then he said this interesting thing. He was like, I really appreciate this oncologist, because he said, Kozo, we don't know a whole lot about cancer. We don't know how long that tumor's been there. We don't know how long it took to grow. We don't know what it's doing. We don't know if it's shrinking, if it's going to grow super fast, if it's going to disappear. We don't know. And he said, we know about that much about cancer, and all this we don't know. But he said, but knowing this much, we know that the best treatment plan we can offer you is to do the chemo, radiation, and surgery. And I really appreciated that honesty and that authenticity for him sharing that with me. And I just felt like I'm going to try all of this unknown before I go into something as drastic as chemo, radiation, and surgery. So I went home and I contacted a friend of mine. She's a Hawaiian healer. Her name is Suzy Kawai Oni Okakaikai Ona Okalani Ko. Yeah, try saying that really fast. And she shared with me this interesting thing. She said, Kozo, you want to look at why you got cancer and why you got it in that particular place you got it. And I thought that was interesting, because if I had gotten something like skin cancer, then that would kind of make sense to me, because I'd spent 30 years surfing every day, often without sunscreen. So if I would have been diagnosed with skin cancer, I would have been, all right, I didn't take care of my skin. I was in the sun a lot. That makes sense. But to get colorectal cancer, that didn't compute, because I'm very conscious about my diet, and I've done like a number of colon cleanses during my life. I've done like 14-day fast, cleansing fasts. I've done colonics, and I've eaten oatmeal with flaxseed every day for about 30 years, trying to get all that fiber. And so I went home, and Auntie Susie said, I want you to ike. And ike is a Hawaiian word. It means to look, but it also means to know. So it's not just looking around, it's a deep looking where you know. And she said, I want you to ike in your na'au, in your guts and figure out why the cancer came and why it came there. And that was a really interesting challenge. So I went home and I iked in my na'au. I looked into my guts and I was like, why? Why cancer? Why there? And it became really clear to me that it had to do with my relationships. It had to do with my relationships with, loved ones, had to do with my relationships with my parents, with difficult others, and my relationship with my body. And I kind of sensed into that I was holding on to things. I was holding on to crap, metaphorically. I was holding on to it. And when you hold on to crap, it makes sense that you're going to get some bad cell division, cancer. So I decided that I was going to treat that first. I was going to look there and try to figure out what was going on there and then see how that would shift my body and my health. And it was probably the biggest gift I've ever received in my life. I tell people that now, that cancer was the biggest gift I've ever received in my life. And it changed everything about my life. It changed how I acted in this world. It changed how I treated people. And it changed how I treated my body and how I treated myself. And so I shifted my diet. I went to full vegetarian vegetables, only vegetables, mostly raw vegetables and some grains. I shifted how I treated people. I patched relationships, and I've never felt better in my life. I feel like I have peace with so many relationships in my life. And I'm not just talking about relationships with my family members or relationships with my parents or relationships with, strangers or even difficult others. But also I have so much peace with my relationship with myself, and so much peace with my relationship with my body, and peace with what we call in Hawaii amakua, our spirit ancestors, and also peace with my spirit, peace with keakua, with God, with spirit, however you want to define that, with the universe. And it's funny, people come up and ask me nowadays, because they hear about the cancer diagnosis, and they say, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? And I tell them, I've never been better. And I mean in my entire life, I've never felt better. I've never been with this much ease in my life. That's what I hope to share with you in this online class, is some of the things that I learned and some of the things that I practice that really shifted my life and allow me to have these days that I just feel like, oh, this is amazing. I'm so happy and grateful to be alive. And the way it came to me, the form it came to me in, is Aloha. My family's from Hawaii. I had a Hawaiian grandfather who raised me with very interesting ways. And the way that this healing practice came to me was through Aloha. And looking back now, it makes total sense, right? I was given Aloha to heal. That makes total sense. But at the time when I was experiencing this or learning it, I was kind of uncertain. I'm like, what? I'm going to heal cancer with Aloha? I was kind of like, okay. And it wasn't, I had to have a lot of faith. But now that I'm deep into the practice and, 6-7 months in since the diagnosis, I can't be more grateful than this gift of Aloha. And the type of Aloha that that was shared with me was a specific kind of Aloha, and it comes from a kapuna, an Hawaiian elder named Auntie Pilahi Paki. And Auntie Pilahi Paki took Aloha and turned it into an acronym, ALOHA. And then each letter stands for another Hawaiian word that are all parts of Aloha. And so if we practice those 5 things, then we really deepen into Aloha. So the 5 parts of Aloha that Auntie Pilahi Paki shared with us are A, Akahai, L, Lōkahi, O, Olu Olu, H, Ha'a, and A, Ahonui. And those stand for Akahai, kindness, to be expressed with tenderness. Lōkahi is unity. Olu Olu is agreeableness or gentleness. Ha'a is humility or emptiness. And Ahonui is patience. And this is how I've organized this class. So this is a 5-week class. The first week we do Akahai, the second week Lōkahi, the third week Olu Olu, the fourth week Ha'a, and the last week we do Ahonui. And I can't tell you how powerful each one of these Aloha practices is. The format of this class is very simple. We have a weekly video that I'll post up every week, and then also some resources. I'll put some resources up for that particular part of Aloha. Some of the resources are videos, some of the resources are PDFs or texts, interviews, YouTube videos. And then towards the end of the week, we have what I call Aloha Healing Circle. And that's simply what that is. It's like a conference call. And I'm not the leader of that healing circle. It's a circle. No one is higher or lower than anybody else. But we're all part of the healing process. We are all part of whoever needs healing gets healing, whoever can give healing gives healing. And we'll see what happens. I do a weekly meditation circle that's very similar, and we call it circle wisdom. And something happens in that circle when there's no one leader. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a kahuna, I'm just a host. I'm just hosting the circle. I'm providing the space. And we don't know who's going to show up. People might show up from around the country, from around the world, and they'll bring with them powerful medicine. I do know this. Everybody who shows up was meant to show up. And everybody who shows up who needs a certain thing will be allowed to get that in the healing circle. It's amazing. I've seen it so many times where, like, you need to learn a certain thing and somebody will say it, or they'll quote somebody, or they'll tell a story, and that'll help you realize something, and that's the medicine you needed at that moment. Or you'll just feel like, oh, I feel like I want to share this story, and you'll share the story, and somebody who you might not even know is on the call, who you might never ever meet, that story will change their lives. I really believe that if you're listening to this right now, we were meant to be together in this lifetime. We were meant to help each other on this journey that we're all taking. So welcome aboard. Welcome aboard this canoe, or as they say in Hawaii, nobody is outside of the canoe. We're all in the same canoe. And I welcome you, e komo mai. And I'm so excited for this healing journey. Mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much for joining.